Good morning, guys. How's it going? Today we're going over systems of equations. This is brand new. This is a new topic. We haven't really touched on this yet. It's got nothing to do with absolute value. We're done with that stuff. We're moving on. Okay, so system of equations. Part 1, substitution. We're just going over one way to solve them today. Alright, so a system of equations is a collection of two or more equations with the same set of variables. Okay, so it looks something like this. We have multiple equations and we have multiple variables, but those variables are the same in both equations. Okay, so x and y are the variables in this system. So that is a system with variables x, y. Okay, give you guys a second. Alright, so in order to solve a system by hand, we need to find a way to cancel out one of our variables. Okay, so up here, if I told you to solve for x, you're going to get a y in the other side of your equation. Alright, you don't want that. You want that to be a number in order to solve it. Alright, so we need to cancel out one of our variables so that we can solve for the other one. Alright, there's 4 ways to do this. Part 1, substitution. So that is what we'll be going over. The second one is elimination. Those two might be familiar to you. Okay, the third one is graphing. That's something I advise against doing unless you have a calculator. Okay, because otherwise you're just eyeballing it. And then last was matrices. That's something we won't be going over in this class. Matrices. Yeah, don't worry too much about that one. I'm pretty sure we're just going over these two, 1 and 2, and then kind of graphing as well. Alright, but for this lesson we're focusing on number 1, substitution. Alright, so here's an example. Just to kind of run through what the plan here is. Excuse me. Our goal here is to plug in 2y plus 10 in for x. Okay, so as you can see up here, x and 2y plus 10 are the same thing. Okay, they're equal, right? So anywhere there's an x, we might as well just write 2y plus 10. Okay, so that's the plan here. We're going to take this and plug it in right there. Alright, so the first equation tells us they're equal. The full solution's on the back. Alright, let's continue on. Okay, so in order to solve with substitution, follow, and then this was just a copying error, these 4 steps. I had to wipe that out. I made a mistake the first time in, and then I never fixed it. So go ahead and write that in for me, these 4 steps. Okay. Alright, first step. Isolate one variable in one equation. Okay, so in that first example we had over here, we already had a variable isolated. That just means solve for it. Get it by itself. Okay, so x is already isolated here, so x equals that. We can pretty much skip step 1 on that example. Alright, isolate one variable in one equation. 2, substitute into other equation. Substitute into other equations. So we're going to take what x equals, that 2y plus 10. It's the same problem right here. We're going to take this and plug it in for x in our other equation. Okay? Solve for remaining variable. Okay, so when we plug in 2y plus 10 in for x, now we only have y's in this equation. We don't have this x anymore. Okay, so we're down to one variable. That was our goal. And now we can solve for that remaining variable, which is going to be y. Okay, and then number 4 is go back and find first variable. Okay, so now that we found y, we're going to go back and find x, and we're going to be done. That's going to be our solution. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go ahead through our steps and apply them to this system. First, isolate one variable in the equation. We already have that. It was given to us isolated, x equals 2y plus 10. 2, substitute into other equation. All right, so we're going to take this, plug it in here. We're just substituting. That's why we call it this. All right, so 5, and instead of x, we are 2y plus 10. All right, plus 6y equals negative 14. Okay, we substituted in. Let's go ahead and solve for the remaining variable. So we're going to start by collecting like terms. We're distributing here. We have 5 times 2y is 10y, plus 5 times 10 is 50, and then plus our 6y equals negative 14. All right, more combining like terms. We get 10y and 6y. That's 16y equals, subtract 50 from both sides. These 50s cancel out, and then we get negative 14 minus 50 is negative 64. Divide both sides by 16. We get y equals negative 4. Okay, if you need a calculator for that, that's fine. Y equals negative 4. Okay. All right, now we can go back, take x equals 2y plus 10. Since we know y, it's x equals 2 times negative 4 plus 10. Which is negative 8 plus 10, which gives us 2. So 2, negative 4. That's our solution. We found that by substitution. All right, so moving on. Next question. All right, here we're going to actually have to do step 1. So we have to isolate one of our variables because x and y are both on the same side in both of these. Alright, the easiest one to solve for is probably going to be the second one. I'm not sure if you guys can see why, but this x does not have a coefficient, okay, other than negative 1. What that means is that we can basically just move this 5y over, and this x is going to be by itself other than with the negative. We don't have to divide by any numbers. We're not going to get any fractions. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to add 5y to both sides. And that gives us negative x equals 5y minus 17. But we don't want negative x, we want positive x. Okay? So, what we can do is multiply through by negative 1. If we multiply each of these terms by negative 1, we get positive x, negative 5y, and positive 17. We're just flipping the sign on each thing. That's going to be what we substitute. Alright, so we're going to take this, plug it in there, and we get negative 3 times negative 5y plus 17, because that's x, plus 3y equals 21. Alright, we can go ahead and combine like terms. We'll distribute. Negative 3 times negative 5y is 15y. Negative 3 times 17 is minus 51, plus 3y equals 21. Keep combining like terms. We get 18y equals, we add 51 to both sides, we're going to get 72, so y equals 4. Okay, and we already solved for x over here, so let's go ahead and plug y back into this. We can plug it in anywhere and we're going to find x, but this is going to be easiest because we already solved for x, so we can just plug in 4. So it's negative 5 times 4 plus 17, which is negative 20, plus 17, which is negative 3. X is negative 3. So negative 3, comma 4 is our solution. Alright, so that's just a couple examples. They can get worse, especially when you get fractions. These ones came out pretty nice. I'm going to try to avoid giving you problems with fractions, but what are you going to do? Alright, so that is it. Tomorrow we will be doing elimination, or I guess Monday. Alright, have a good one, guys.